Hi there. I'm gonna do a review for Gladiator. This movie came out in 2000 and was directed by Ridley Scott. And it's kind of got a long-standing reputation that gave Russell Crowe kind of a heightened sense of superiority over some people, because of course he plays Gladiator. The movie also has Joaquin Phoenix in it playing Commodus. And the overall story and structure is that uh, Max is that Russell Crowe is portraying Decimus Meridius, and Maximus is supposedly a general in the Roman army. Although in reality, there's no, as far as anybody knows, there's nobody actually by that name in the Roman army. There was similar names, but not that one. Nonetheless, yeah, this movie has gone down to kind of an inspiration of the past. It's got a kind of an interesting concept in there. Basically, the going out emperor is Marcus Aurelius, and of course, this is one of the better, I suppose, so-called better emperors in Rome's history. In reality, I don't think the term "good" is the term to describe Marcus Aurelius, but in terms of comparison to the others, I guess he could be classed as a little bit better, but depends what your definition of better is. But more or less, this is what this movie has. The whole point of this movie is that they're basically trying to, during the end of the wars in Germania, and Marcus Aurelius is sort of on his deathbed, worried about being on his deathbed, and he's got to decide who to give the reins to. Now, normally you would go in your next heir of kin, and in Marcus's case, Commodus is apparently not up to snuff. He doesn't like the kid very much. Even though he's his own son, he feels there's some problems with Cleopatra. And it might be. It's not entirely clear how bad Commodus could possibly be. But in this movie, of course, Commodus is a bad emperor. Because in reality, he was bad. At least bad by what Rome defined as bad, I guess. But nonetheless, yeah, Maximus is also being potentially chosen, and what that leads to is a whole ruckus of events because Maximus just refuses to join the company of Commodus after Commodus basically kills Marcus Aurelius, and it leads to a whole bunch of shenanigans because not only that, Commodus gives the order to get rid of Maximus's family, and of course, Maximus ends up entering into slavery because he goes on a big trot to get to his family because he knows they could be in trouble. And the result is that he ends up in slavery. He gets captured by slavers who are basically roaming around the Roman Empire, acting as basically a circus act to the various colosseums, if you could call them colosseums. Different areas have their own variety of colosseum, and he picks up these they pick up these performers, people, and basically that's what the whole gist of the story is. Axis becomes a slave to the character, to the dude who's going to Proximo. Becomes the man under Proximo, and the whole point of Proximo is that he's leading an act and he's got access to these so-called performers. Now, in reality, these are what you call they become what you call gladiators, and that's the whole point. Is that they're going around performing? They're killing people. They're basically killing their got subjects who come into the pen and they kill them. And that's the whole point of the story. Is that basically Maximus is a highly leveled, highly trained level soldier. So of course he does exceptionally well in these games. Um, and it leads them to a reality that the Proximo is going to be has been requested to go to Rome because of course Rome Commodus and a desire to so desire to sidestep the major questions going on in the empire at the time. This is the Roman Empire. Um, he wants to have 100 days of games or something like that. It doesn't really matter. It's the fact that it's a pile of games. They're not necessarily necessary. Although in reality, Rome did far more than that. Rome was regularly doing this. But nonetheless, Proximo has found an opportunity to go to Rome and his gladiators will perform there. And of course, Commodus was expecting Maximus to be sort of on the dead side of things, and instead, nobody's dead. Instead, Maximus shows up, and instead of a situation where the gladiators should have all been massacred, a blazing glory fight in the pen, instead, Maximus takes advantage of special expertise he has on various things, and they end up getting the overachieving victory they were not expecting to have, and this results in Commodus finding out that Maximus is indeed alive, and he's not very happy about this. The reality of this is that Commodus probably would have massacred the entire group of men and had them, would have at least sent them to prison, but he would have at least gotten Maximus killed. But of course, apparently he cares about crowds in this movie. In reality, he didn't care about much of anything. The reality of it is that the fact is that the story is kind of trying to shed light on why the Roman Empire supposedly fell apart, because there was too much extravagance. It doesn't really matter, that's what the movie's telling. In reality, the Roman Empire took a long time to fall apart. It was not a quick run thing. The fall of the Roman Empire is not something that happened over one succession. It took a long time for it to start to break up. One could argue that it started to break up the moment it became whole. Another argument can be made that it just took a long time to decay, that it slowly decayed. Actually, in truth, in the 3rd century, that was when it started to show signs of fracture, because their ability to run the place was decaying. Their ability to run the whole place. And it's mostly because of the fact that once they couldn't conquer anybody else, they couldn't get advanced. Nonetheless, that's not what this movie is about. This movie is about the Colosseum and the games. And the Roman Colosseum is, of course, presented as this giant place, and it was. I mean, it would have been practically considered inconceivable at the time. And so you get all these beautiful monumentary and all this stuff. And of course, they get an approximation of what the Colosseum is supposed to look like in this movie. In reality, we don't really know what it was supposed to look like. But nonetheless, this is approximation. And of course, Maximus is able to run the games and be successful in running these games. And of course, he gets in chatter with a bunch of different people, because of course he knew Commodus' sister he was well endowed with. It's an interesting relationship there, Commodus and his sister, because I don't think they quite objectively knew what to do with that character situation. They make him Commodus becomes a little bit too close to his sister in this movie. Now, I don't know what the real story was with Commodus in the real world. I don't know how with it he was on that front. I don't even think he was big on his sister. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The whole point of this concept is that Maximus has got and knows Commodus' sister, and she has a soft spot for Maximus. And so as the time goes by, basically, as Proximo put it, if you want to get out of slavery, you have to win your freedom. You have to win the crowds and win the freedom. And that was how Proximo did it. That's how Proximo escaped slavery. Is that he became a free man because he was the best. He was winning the crowds. And so that's how the story sort of unfolds. Now, of course, Maximus has has certain pals inside the Roman Empire that are in the hierarchy, which is kind of amusing to actually watch them try and portray this as being a thing, even though I don't really know how much of a thing it actually was. But again, the point they got certain friends. They kind of want him to sort of take over. They kind of want him to win. You can't really fix that situation. They do have a certain limitation to what they can actually do with that. I don't think he could have actually done that much, given the fact that his status had been totally ripped up. So I don't think there was much to talk about there. But nonetheless, I think the overriding thing is that they're trying to find a way to remove Commodus, because Commodus they feel is a really pathetic, terrible emperor, corrupt to his core. Of course, this doesn't mean anything because we know the real history of the Roman Empire. Nonetheless, at the end of the movie, when Commodus is inciting a desire to fight Maximus personally, of course, it's an unfair fight, and Maximus does win, but it's actually rather interesting watching the end fight because, of course, Commodus does try to cheat a little bit, and and even though he cheats a little bit, he still can't win the fight. It's actually rather impressive. Nonetheless, the whole story is basically revolving around Maximus's desire for revenge on Commodus and how he ruined the situation and how Commodus is getting after people. And that was the whole point of this the story, is that Maximus has to find a way to win his freedom. He sort of does, sort of doesn't. He ends up dying in the end because, of course, Maximus attacks him before the Gladiator match, and he goes off. But when the fight, the whole thing is that Maximus sort of gets his end credit. He beats Commodus. Commodus dies. And Maximus ends up dying too, but at least now he knows that Commodus is gone. He sort of knows that other people can rule the place. Although it's difficult to say exactly how well this would have went, because it's supposed to end up on a certain note. In reality, this did not happen. The Roman Empire did not get awesome after this. It went downhill slowly but surely. Nonetheless, that Gladiator with Russell Crowe, infamous movie, not as more well received nowadays than it was when it first came out, but nonetheless, that's it. Really good movie.